Welcome to She's Got This, the podcast for ambitious women who want to grow and scale their business and use the power of intentional energy direction to design their very best life. I'm your host, Christine Gallagher, award-winning business coach and mindset mentor to female entrepreneurs. If you're ready to own your brilliance while making bank, step into the absolute best version of you, and become a force for positive change in the world, you're in the right place. Let's do it. Hey, everybody, you're listening to She's Got This. I'm your host, Christine Gallagher. Welcome. Today, we're talking about something that is vitally important to any business, and that is all about your offer, and particularly looking at what to do when there's not a great response to your offer or something is just not going right and you're not totally sure how to, as a mentor of mine brilliantly put it before, diagnose the disconnect. So no matter what offer you are trying to sell, whether that is a one-on-one offer, a group offer, a course, a coaching program, a VIP day, or anything else, there are ways to improve the response. And so when we talk about diagnosing the disconnect, we're looking at the simple fixes that you can do to make sure that you can tweak your offer so that it starts selling like crazy. So a good reminder as we get started here is an offer that is an easy yes for people is when you are offering the right solution to the right person at the right time. So as a rule, those things really do need to line up. So an offer that is really irresistible to your Soulmate clients, that really is an easy yes for them. It does take time for that to be dialed in. It doesn't happen in one day, but you can still make money while you're being imperfect and dialing in the offer. So I just wanted to encourage you on that. But here's the other good news. There's always a reason why you're not getting a result with your offer. And also, there are relatively few reasons. And I just want to remind you that when something doesn't work out the way you want it to or doesn't go right, lean in instead of going to your mind, the monkey mind, where you're thinking nothing's working. I tried all the things. Oh my gosh, no one cares. It'll never work, right? Rather than just creating any old program or any old offer, we're actually creating what you could consider assets for your business. So also know that when you have a fairly dialed in offer, it can be adapted or tweaked if the market changes, which we know happens from time to time. So number one, most common is the offer isn't resonating. And number two is the message isn't resonating. So those two things are typically the only two reasons if you are not getting a response for your offer. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go build your list with new people or that there's nobody in your current audience who's the right person. What we need to do is get our offer right first. So actually where the clients are hanging out or where they are for you to find them is not really the core problem. There's this idea that we have to go out and hunt for clients. And that's something that our monkey mind, our ego mind creates. And it happens to be the first place we end up going instead of looking at what the real issue is, which is giving people what they want, AKA your offer. So the majority of the time, those are the two biggies, but I want to share some other common possibilities for why your offer is not selling. Number three is your people don't know why they need to take action. So in other words, there's no urgency. And it's really important to not assume that they know, right? You always want to speak to things like their pleasure, their pain, and creating that gap between the two, as well as the consequences of them staying where they are. So it's about checking in with yourself. Is this program, is this offer addressing a problem that needs to be solved right now? So people need to know why they need to move. And I heard somebody say this before, I believe it was a past mentor of mine. I thought it was brilliant. They said, your biggest competition isn't other coaches or fill in the blank, whatever you are, it's your own client's inertia. So knowing something has to change or things aren't going to be going too well does light a fire under people. And so we got to go there, right? So a leader, all of us are leaders, and we are not going to just let our clients sit there in that place of inertia. Number four, letting resistance win. So you want to think about where are you letting their resistance win? And where is your own resistance winning? the solution is holding firm to your standards in your business, your boundaries in your business, your higher self, and staying in your highest level frequency. A Course in Miracles says the only cause of non-miracles is resistance. So notice that I didn't just say your resistance winning, but them as well. So that's more about challenging your clients and letting them not really slide on the fact that they're getting in their own way by resisting. The fifth thing is being incongruent in yourself. So being incongruent in yourself, and you're actually kind of broadcasting that out to the world. So when your offer is not quite right for you, people do pick up on this, and they might not know specifically exactly what they're picking up on, but they can feel it. So the question is, are you clear about your offer? What do you really want? What do they want? I remember yesterday on a call with a client, I said this because it comes up a lot. What do they want? So surrender to what is congruent and bring yourself in full alignment with your offer. Because when you do that, it's actually kind of magical. So sometimes it means putting your vision of what you thought it was going to be, like, to the side, and turning it into what your clients are secretly asking of you. So when you do that, it's even more congruent. So you want to surrender to what's congruent. And personal note here, for a while, well, for a long time, I did not do this. I had done other podcasts about this situation where I sometimes don't want to take my hand off the wheel when things have been working well, or I've been doing things a certain way and I don't want to upset the status quo. But this is the kind of example that I would point to when we talk about looking at getting into alignment and surrendering to what is more congruent. For example, if you are doing really well in your business and you are selling the same offers over and over because they work and because they are good offers, but you are miserable offering them, you're not jazzed, you're not lit up by it anymore, then it's a challenge to yourself to just really say, okay, I know that changing this feels risky, or changing it up feels like a scary thing, but it's like, are you going to continue doing it the way you've been doing it, making money, yeah, but being miserable, as opposed to surrendering? So that's number 5. Number 6 is messaging that is inconsistent. Little bit of love here for you. Don't complain about not having enough people when you're not doing the marketing. If you know me at all, you know that I am huge on the inner stuff, the use of your imagination to create what it is you want. But marketing is a thing if you're a business owner, right? It's how we get our gifts out to the world. You want to message, ideally, consistently, which in my world is about 3 to 4 times per week between email and social. So that doesn't mean you have to send 4 emails to your list every week or anything like that. Maybe it's that you send 1 email a week and the rest in social, or 2 emails a week. But when people say to me, is emailing my people or posting in social like once a month enough? It's like, no way, right? So knowing that consistent messaging is key. And if you wonder why people still use email marketing, it's because it still works, and social media as well, of course. And you have to get over this idea that you're bugging people or that you don't know what to say. If you have a passion for what you do and you love helping clients with your special talents and gifts, then you know what to say, or you can figure out what to say. And I know that sometimes with messaging and putting content out, it's like, but I don't like to write. Well, then you can do videos and other things like that. If you don't like videos, you could be doing articles, etc. So just a reminder there to play to your strengths when it comes to this. But the biggest thing is to be consistent. And it's funny when people say, oh my gosh, I keep getting all these emails from people every week. And I say, yeah, because that works. It works. That's why they're doing it, right? Okay, number 7 is not enough proof. This starts with your own confidence in the results that you are already creating and actually talking about them. This also includes talking about the pleasure and the pain and really demonstrating that, hey, I know what I'm talking about. And also collecting actual proof. And that is things like testimonials, success stories. You can anonymize them if you want. I know that sometimes an argument can be made that not sharing names makes it more powerful because people can project themselves onto it. However you want to do it, but you need to have that proof. The 8th thing is clients don't have the consciousness they need in order to take the action. So what that means is, what are the mindsets they need to have? It's actually our responsibility to bring that to our clients. So for example, I can't afford it is something you might hear. So what you want to think about is what's a mindset that counters that belief? What is a truth that counters that story? And where do you put this kind of thing? You do this in your messaging. So it's about thinking in terms of what seeds do I need to plant? What seeds do I need to plant in my messaging on a consistent basis? Because sometimes it really is about installing certain beliefs and frames into your people, into your community. And this is also known as objections busting. So your messaging is powerful and it can absolutely start to change the consciousness of your people. Okay, last one here, number 9, not asking enough, which I think that's really enough said. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's the lesson I learned very early on in my business that if I wanted to generate more income, I needed to ask for the sale more often and put out multiple offers or up the frequency of offering one particular offer. This all sounds good, but how do I figure out which reasons actually apply to me? I'm going to give you a few tips here. Number 1, you want to shift yourself out of that emotional place because we can go to emotion like, oh my gosh, and get into this despair place or this shame place. And so we want to notice that and then move into a state of leadership and curiosity instead. So what are the things you're saying to yourself? Are you letting yourself dive into that despair or that shame? The second thing is to ask yourself if you're getting some response of any kind, right? Are you actually getting some response? It's not that you're not getting any response. Well, if you are getting some, you want to make a note of it. And then that's when you want to go back to reasons number 1 and 2 that I mentioned. 1 being the offer isn't resonating and 2 being the messaging isn't resonating. Number 3, from a place of your highest self, what do you think it is if you tap in? Because I believe we always know deep down. Sometimes we just have too much noise going on to hear it, or we doubt ourselves. But it's about looking at what are people telling you and what are they really telling you underneath the surface. So you want to be honest with yourself and you want to be objective about your offer and just pay attention to like, what are the facts here? Then 4, now that you know what it is, what action do you need to take? What is it that you actually need to do? So just as a reminder, something that I tell my clients all the time is you can think of this as a bit of a formula. So it goes like this: when the present pain plus your client's understanding of your solution, plus the belief that it will work is greater than the pain of letting go of the money and their biggest objections, that means you will make the sale. And of course, you also need urgency as well, as we mentioned, but that's really how it goes. And I often come back to that formula myself because it is a great reminder. So what's rampant out there in the world is focusing on tactics and strategies. And I'm a strategy gal. I really love strategies and I teach them, but it's not just about those things alone. When we focus on dialing in our offer, that is huge because that creates a paradigm shift where we don't just throw out more marketing activities or tactics, but we really hone in on what is this offer doing? Is it resonating? Is it not resonating? What's going on? How can I diagnose that? So speaking of diagnosing it, the next part I want to share with you is a bit about dialing it in. I've been saying dial in your offer. Well, what the heck does that mean? So there are a few things to look at. First of all, what are the core concepts of your offer? Like, what are you actually doing in your offer to help solve the client's problem? What are you selling? What are the concepts? What are the things that they'll be learning? What are the results that they're going to be achieving? That's the first piece to know, obviously, because you need to know what exactly they're getting out of buying your offer. Then you want to listen to what comes back. So this is really just being curious and listening to what people are saying in email replies, or maybe replies to your posts in social, or feedback you get from calls or client feedback. You really want to listen to what comes back because that information is gold, especially when they're saying it in their own words. I always remind people that when you know how people say things in their own words, you are powerful because then you can incorporate that into your messaging. And then next, you want to note which types of messages got a response. So when I talk to my clients about their messages, sometimes we call them hand raisers because basically it's a way for us to see who's going to raise their hand that they're interested in our offer based on the message that you sent out. So not all your messages will get a response. That's normal. That's okay. But it's about noting which one actually did get a response. what was the concept in the message, or what was the angle in the message that called people forward? That is also pure gold. So then once you have listened and you've noted those angles, what that leads to is your next message and incorporating those things, and then listening again to what actually comes back. So basically, another way to say this is you don't have to just play a guessing game or just keep throwing out messages and not really looking at what is actually getting people to respond. This is about being intentional. Now, next, if you get some signups or a response, yay. At this point, what you can do is note the trends. I know some people like to use sticky notes for this. Some people put a document in their Google Docs and do this. It doesn't matter how you do it, but have some sort of simple process for noting what the trends are. For example, we have a spreadsheet in my company that we use to notate what angle called people forward, how many people raise their hands based on this type of message. And that gives us a good idea of what we should message around more because it worked great the first time, or it didn't work and we need to pivot a bit. So then at this point, you really just want to stay the course. It is so easy to get into a place of wobbling back and forth and really wondering, do they want my offer? It doesn't have to be a guessing game. And when the concept or the angle actually pops for your people and you're noticing it's getting a response, that's when you put the pedal to the metal, because you can use that information to make course corrections. And it really does come from listening to your people and what they say, and also what they are really saying, because sometimes there's things underneath what they say that you can tap into and tune into and realize, okay, this is what they're really saying. And the best thing about all of this is that there is always an opportunity for a do-over. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or share it with someone else who would find it helpful. To stay connected with me, please visit she'sgotclients.com and sign up for my email list at the bottom of the page. Or feel free to share this episode on your Instagram and tag me at Christine G, and I'll repost you. I would love to share this with as many people as possible. I love you. Until next time, keep shining your light.